Let's walk through the setup wizard of the RSMC. The first selection is language. Choose your language and then click Next. The next selection is USB or local configuration. Select USB configuration if you'd like to load a previous configuration onto your RSMC. Otherwise, select local configuration to program the unit step by step. If you select a local configuration, the next selection is the number of rooms and the number of sensors you wish to program into the RSMC. Every RSMC has one built-in differential pressure sensor, two analog inputs represented as user input 1 and user input 2, and one digital input for a door status switch. One room, two rooms, or three rooms can be selected, and up to 3 parameters can be displayed simultaneously on the RSMC. The next selection screen is network. Either Modbus or BACnet can be selected if you're connecting to a communication protocol. If not, select None, and hit Next. Next up is the input screen. On this screen, select the drop-down box next to the word Input, then configure each parameter one by one. First, we configure the built-in differential pressure sensor. In this screen, the units could be configured as well as the number of decimal places. The range of the sensor cannot be configured as it is built into the RSMC. Additionally, the alarm limits can be configured by clicking Go to Alarm Limits. Once you are finished setting the alarm limits for pressure, go back and then select your next input from the drop-down menu next to the word Input. User I1 is user input 1, and that corresponds to the analog input 1 on the terminals of the RSMC. User input 1 could be connected to an analog temperature sensor, relative humidity sensor, air velocity sensor, or an additional differential pressure sensor to monitor any of these measurements. In this screen, the measurement type can be selected as well as the units, type of input, decimal places, and corresponding range to the analog input. And just like the pressure selection, you could select Go to Alarm Limits to set the alarm limits for this input. Next, Digital I1, which represents digital input 1, can be configured in this screen as well. Select Digital I1 next to the word Input. In this screen, the usage could be configured from door to remote, and the polarity can be adjusted as well from reverse to normal. Additionally, a delay could be programmed in as well. Once you've configured all of your inputs to correspond correctly to your analog input devices, you could select Next to move on to the output screen. The RSMC has one digital output represented by digital O1 and one analog output represented by digital O2. The digital output setting controls the relay on the RSMC. It can be driven by any alarm source. If it's set to master, it will be driven by any parameter that goes outside the acceptable alarm limit settings. It could also be toggled from normally open to normally closed. By default, the analog output corresponds to the measurement of the built-in differential pressure sensor. However, it could be toggled to retransmit either user input 1 or user input 2. And the output could either be set from 0 to 10 volts or to 4 to 20 milliamps. The next settings screen is the general alarm settings. In this window, the alarm interlock can be configured, the audible alarm can be turned off or on, and the volume can be adjusted. Lastly, the mute timeout could be configured as well. The mute timeout is measured in seconds. The next settings screen is room and display. This window allows you to configure the location of each parameter on the display during normal operation. The RSMC displays a graphic on the lower left-hand side of the display, marked with 1, 2, and 3. The block marked with number 1 will show sensor 1, and the block marked with 2 will show sensor 2, and so on. The location of each parameter is up to you. In this window, the room name and the name of each parameter can be changed as well. Once you are finished configuring the location of each parameter, click Next. Display Settings is the next screen in the Setup Wizard. In this screen, the brightness of the backlight can be adjusted. When finished, select Next. The RSMC will then prompt you to save or cancel. Once you select Saved, you're finished setting up the RSMC, and it will now display the home screen. This is the screen that will be shown at all times during normal operation. It will display each parameter, the room name, as well as a gear icon on the top right to change settings in the future. In addition, the date and time are shown on the bottom left, and an occupied toggle is shown on the top right. It could be switched from occupied to unoccupied and to cleaning mode. We hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you for watching.